Feature Friday.
The freshest. How exciting. This is AINA Abdul, and we checked her out
AINA.
for AINA. Sorry, my bad. This
AINA
is
Abdul.
thank you. We checked her out for the first time in this really cool Malaysian like
Special
TV
podcast.
concert thing that they were doing. By the way, I would recommend any of you that are tuning in for the first time to check out that podcast, because you had some crazy vocalist and some crazy music there
From Malaysia.
But she blew me away with her performance, and you guys recommended this cover that she did by her, but in her own studio.
Nice lighting.
Of Celine Dion.
Fuck.
Surrender.
All right. Jesus.
I mean, little names there, you know.
Wow.
Easy stuff.
Go on.
She looks amazing. I adore that studio space.
Wow. I mean, the
I
equipment, dog.
love that pop film.
So much life haven't left to live, and this fire's burning still.
Oh
Wow.
my god, she's fantastic.
When I watch you look at me, I think I could find the will to stand for every dream and forsake the solid ground.
I
Say pause.
adore this sound, like the atmospheric sound that they're making in the build up of the song already. They're I don't know how to explain it, but like the instrumental is it's building up like a musical does. Like
Yep.
for atmosphere, they're using really unheard of, unusual sounds that it just creates an atmosphere rather than adding to
Yeah,
the melody value.
Generate a scene.
Yes.
Generating a scene. Go on.
It feels really cool. I really like
Let's
that.
let's let it evolve a bit more.
Give up this fear within. What would happen if
See, it's
The
very good.
pizzicato on the
I'm
cello.
in love with you. 'Cause I surrender
Wow.
everything.
Oh, I didn't even
Ah,
show
fuck.
you freaking hell. So sorry about that. Let me show you again. I just wanted to point out that they get this really cool string section pizzicato at the beginning. It was like they're picking up the strings, which is not like the fluent sound that you
course.
get. Just to explain to those who don't
No, sorry.
know the term itself.
I didn't mean it in a no at all, man.
But it's really cool because it adds tension, and it's really cut through, and then obviously that amplified that really big coming into that chorus, that opening of the sound itself, not just vocally speaking. Actually, she didn't have to do much vocally speaking, but the sound, the music itself provided that lift,
Yeah.
that bigness, right? And it's very clever for the singer to take advantage
Yeah, I
of
agree.
such beautiful arrangements in the music.
More magic of arranging, actually. Yeah.
That's right. Actually, let me show you. It's a pizzicato
I'm in
picked
love with you.
nothingness.
'Cause
Big.
I
So good.
surrender everything to feel the chance to live again.
Ah.
I reach to you. I know you can feel it too. When
Well, there it is, because they kind of fill up the emptiness of tension just there for, I don't know, whatever it was, a second, and then the crescendo. One of the problems sometimes I find with a lot of not covers, just performances overall in a studio, is that they don't take into account in live performances, is that sometimes both percussionists or string sections they do it really well because it's written, but especially percussionists miss out on the opening up of things sometimes they open up too early or too big. But it's a gradual. The door doesn't just open suddenly, right? You want to gradually open the door and invite people in, not an abrupt movement. And then when you get to a climax or somewhat of a climax, it's like amped up by 2.
That's right. But I think the bigness that we experience and this chorus specifically came from that nothingness right before it, right? So if they would have carried on with the pizzicato and she held on to that last note,
Yep.
And continue with the rhythm that they had already built, musically speaking, the big opening of the chorus wouldn't have been dramatic enough,
not
right?
as
So that
dramatic. That certainly.
it definitely would have lost its drama, the dramatic opening effect. But because of that nothingness, the sustain, and that delay on her vocals, and the big reverb on the whole space they were in for half a second or whatever, how long it was, really amplified that openness, that bigness, that actually helps her prepare for the chorus that is actually physically demanding without exhausting her vocal capabilities. It's just really beautifully arranged. It really is. It's really cleverly done.
Make it through 1,000 dreams, I still believe. I'll make you give them all to me. I'll hold you in my arms and never let go.
You see, there's so much. There's so much physical exertion towards the end of the phrase, so she is really invested towards the end of the phrase, so they're bigger towards the end, so she's actually using her energy really well, physically speaking. She's using her anchoring really well right towards the end, which is not the usual way, because the chorus demands a lot right from the beginning of the phrasing, but she's really anchoring towards the end. That means that the beginning is so easy to her, and that is so crazy to me.
Well, it's not easy to say when it's Celine Dion, right?
Yeah, I know, it's really cool though. See, easy stuff.
Okay, right. So, but even then, that's kind of like the same presence of some sort of emptiness to some extent, and then coming back. Obviously, the big change in the percussion here is what causes the climax. No longer the voice. It allows. It's kind of like this display of think about it like it's a balance. It's a weight balance. You want to try and allow the vocalist to rest, allow other things, arrangements, sounds, percussion, strings to rise, while the singer is maybe not in such stress, and then increase tension by putting the vocalist in stress. The percussion and the strings may change chords. Maybe it does feel like an crescendo, but this is the easier part for them. So it kind of always feels like a balance. But you actually never want to be like this. You always want to have either the singer up or maybe at some points the percussion.
Depending on the arrangement, but yes, definitely. I think
good example of good arrangement here.
I actually also think that it's really brilliantly equalized, right? So you hear enough of everything, the little sparks in the musical arrangement, but you know that the main chorus of the meal is her vocals, right? So, but you're hearing really like nicely picked out string sections or percussion or the bass, and it's just moments, it's like sparks, and it's just brilliantly mixed. It's really well done.
You're the reason I go on, and
Good
now
reverb
I
there,
need to live the truth
subtle was good.
right now.
Oh, she just got
No better time
Look,
from this fear.
she just got really great modulation. It's just
good,
freaking
dude.
nuts, and she makes it sound and look easy. That's madness.
she's good.
I will break free, and I'll live again with love. I know they can't take that away from me, and they will see.
Woo!
Great.
Did you see that? Really good. Okay, get ready,
Yeah,
get
yeah.
ready. Hold. I mean, that was so good.
Yeah, let's keep-
It's so great. She's got beautiful technique, bro.
I reach to you.
That open
I know you can feel it too. We'll make it through 1,000 dreams. I still believe. I'll make you give them all to me.
Go on, so explain why, because it may seem like this is, it is to some extent also like it's sort of as you communicate, you want to I guess, be as expressive as possible. But there are kind of little tricks by utilizing such expressions. You can hide things underneath to amplify techniques. You might want to explain some of that.
I personally like physical anchoring for singing. It just really helps you understand how much energy you're exerting into the piece itself, right? And there is a power of the underarm here, like the muscles right here.
Latissimus dorsi.
Thank you. Anchoring these muscles, that you really find it easier if you open up your arms and anchor down. So you naturally, when you open up your arms, your shoulders kind of go up. But if you anchor down, there's like this really cool I don't know, like space that forms here, right on like the mouth of your stomach, that helps you lift the diaphragm, like the top of your larynx really well. So you have this physical anchoring, like the back rows and everything goes behind it, and then you don't have to use as much air to belt. You don't have to actually grab onto any notes when you're belting. It comes naturally, and you're actually in control of the modulation of how much breath, how much sound. Do you want it muffled? Do you want it with more velvety quality? So you're in absolute control of the modulation. But when you don't anchor and you don't use this, you don't use your body, then you become a bit, you're leaving all the work to your larynx, and it can't do all of that. So you start grabbing, or you're flat, or you might be on the notes and you might be able to maintain it, but then you have no control over the modulation. So it's a great trick, that body anchoring.
I guess that, like, if you look at it from a sports perspective, like if you ever watch boxing, it would be like throwing arm punches, just doing everything with your arms and not adding your hips or your legs behind the punches.
So you're losing power by not using the rest of your body.
Not using that weight. Like in tennis, if you were just to actually just use your arm and not use any of your body. Basketball.
It's when you're swimming and you're only using your arms and not kicking with your legs. It's the same concept, I suppose. Yes, that's right. It's just so, there's so much value in that body anchoring.
More energy transfer.
Absolutely. Also makes you feel like you're giving your absolute 100% on stage or in the performance itself, because your whole body is invested.
So she could I think AINA, to some extent, it's using that anchoring.
It's just very Efra. There's not a shadow of a doubt, especially how she squared up her shoulders and she anchored back, and the use of the arms here, you can really see it clear. Like if you look at it, see that she's really building in that meat. She really opened up here. And there's this naturally, looks natural when you're singing, but let me tell you, there's a lot of effort coming into there, but it makes the sound, it makes the voice sound completely effortless,
right?
As if you're not trying hard at all, and it actually gives a perfect, brilliant stage presence too, even though it's just
another good example is like Lea Salonga does it really well.
But yeah. You know? Fantastic.
But like, does it obviously, like you can see it, it's so obvious.
Well, there's also the theatrics in Lea, right? She's very theater, but in this type of performances like AINA, you get really that she makes it look like it's part of her way of singing. When I know when it's basically it's textbook technique display.
She's class, man.
She is absolutely stunning. It is stunning. See, open here. It's just brilliant. And here's just really giving in. That right there is positioning to really help the larynx go further back, so you're not saturating the note, so it doesn't sound but it's also taking that twang away from the high notes. So it is just more positioning for sound modulation, but it is fantastic. I have no idea.
Please.
No idea, but I love that refreshed youngness to her vocal capability.
She's class. Even a bit of growling and everything. crazy.
Listen to that modulation. Oh, so good.
Well, now that she's also a good example of like how, because we've seen a lot of singers that have good modulation, but are somewhat theatrical, right? But she's a great example on
Contemporary
modulation with still outstanding modulation.
Yeah.
With as a matter of fact, she would really it would be a seamless transition for her to go into a bit theatrical. It would just what would you call it? A bit more in an intensified version of her actual modulation right now.
Yeah.
But she's a great example because we were discussing this the other day. It's like I find the singers that have the best modulation or are usually very theatrical. Right, but she's a good example of that. It's like sort of a more contemporary approach to it.
I just really adore the fact that she's made it accessible.
Yeah.
She's taken the theatric off, the theatric edge off. So you have a really accessible sound that you're able not to put it in a box. Like you can't really say, oh, she's this.
She can be pop.
She's that. No. And I think it comes from that really rooted technique, that really rooted safety blanket that I call that.
She could be pop,
vocal technique.
or she could be.
Or she could be this. Or
Contemporary. She could be.
thank you.
Do they speak? Oh, a little spoiler. Do they speak English? I think I've asked this in the podcast. But do they speak fluent English in Malaysia?
In Malaysia, I have no idea.
Lots of people do though.
I think in like the capital, I think a lot of people speak English, but I don't know if it's like an official second language of the country. I have no idea.
Well, as we always say, we're always learning as we go, and the whole podcast and the whole channel is about discovering new musicians and new artists and new singers, and also fucking mind-blowing experiences like this one.
I mean,
so
it's
do
just
let us
fantastic.
let us know who else we should check out next. The way we take requests, because I know there's a few new of you got a few of you who are new. That's it. That's a difficult thing to say.
It is.
The way we take requests, and I think there's also a bit of confusion, is just drop it in the comment section below, and then whichever comment gets the most likes, that's certainly the one that we'll add to the list. But also, we don't just use that; we use every comment and we take it into account. So do feel free to comment, and we will check out every comment.
And the comments.
Comment.